Cheers. It looks so pretty, when it's all set up like this.
Yeah. Aesthetically pleasing.
That's very pleasing. Yum. So we're going to be getting these Branzinos.
Absolutely, you can take.
I'm just going to do a vlog. We're going to be cooking at home. Thank you.
And this one is with his little mouth open.
So when you tap them, it shows if they're alive or...
Exactly.
Yeah.
7, 8, 9.
No. So here I got some Idaho potatoes. I didn't have a mandolin, I just used my knife to cut them out. You don't have to worry about them being all exactly even, but it's perfect. I'm gonna throw some spices on there. I'm gonna get some butter in the pan and make a burnt rosette with some herbs and use that to be the base for when I build my gratin. So it's gonna be very nice and tasty. That's what we're looking for. Not burning it, but getting it nice and toasty. Just going to give us one more clean before I build. So there's nothing that can burn inside there. So remove any of the butter and the herbs that have been toasty. I'm going to add some more butter in this and then start layering the potatoes. I just want to get the first initial layer. Finding any gaps that don't look full enough. As you can see, it's not perfect and this is rustic. All you got to do is, if you see little gaps, just kind of get them in, tuck them in, and fill up any of those missing pockets with your potatoes that you've sliced. Right, time to make a cartouche. Cartouche is just like a nice little parchment paper that's going to be a little lid for when I bake the gratin. Now you just fold like that. And what you want to do is measure it from the center to the edge and maybe give in a little extra just so you can cut it back. So I figure it's going to be about here. So what you do is just get your knife and then cut down. This should open up into a nice circular cartouche, which I'm going to use then when I do bake to cover the top, and I'll put a little weight and help this bake and keep it flat. Now you don't want to go too crazy and cover it all the way to the top. I like to just let it sit and almost just cover the potatoes. I'll give it a little bit of a shake so it all gets in there. There we go. I'll do one more for luck, because it will evaporate and cook out. Now, get this into the oven. I'd say about an hour, 45 minutes. Keep checking on it. Okay, so here we got lovely Branzino, and that lovely lady helped descale and gut the fish and obviously trim off all the little extra spikes, which is nice for her to do that, so that's really nice. I'm going to stuff it with all those herbs that I left over and some lemon, and get these things baked whole so we can just flake them off for lunch. Branzino. So an important thing when you want to do a whole baked fish is to make sure that when you've pulled it out the fridge, give it time to get to room temperature before you cook it. Because if you don't, the internal temperature is going to be very cold, and you might actually have a raw center by the time the outside is cooked. So I always like to get it out room temperature, and that way it has an even bake all the way through. Now we're out the oven. I'm just checking on it. And pull this cartouche off. Look at that. All right. Go in the bin. What I'll do is just a little tester. So the potatoes cooked, but what I want to do is get a little bit more color on them. So I've removed the cartouche, and I'm going to just use a little bit of paper towel to soak up any excess fat. Push down. The fat and the butter does kind of rise to the top, and this is just a good way to dry them out. Now that the potatoes cooked, get it the cartouche off and start evaporating some extra liquid. Look at that. You can get off. But yeah. Okay, so I'm going to get them back in the oven just to get them a little bit more crispy and evaporate some of this extra liquid that's in the bottom. Okay, so I've got the gratin out the oven and resting for a bit. If you have time, keep it in the fridge for maybe an hour. This will help allow the butter and the cream to solidify and make it easier to portion and to get out. Now, I'm going to actually have to flip this over and try and get it out the pan. Let's see if it works. Pan on top. And then I want to, look at that. Yeah, some stuck. So if that happens and you're a numpty like I am, I should have put a piece of parchment paper down at the bottom, which would have avoided any of it sticking to the cast iron pan. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift this up. Look, it looks pretty good. All I need to do now is get a little bit of extra crispiness on top of this. So I'm going to just lift them up, place them back in, and I'm going to get into a broil just on top. Okay, so the fish we want to get into the oven at 400 Fahrenheit, 200 degrees Celsius for about 20 to 25 minutes. And I'm going to throw the broccolini in after 10 minutes that it's been in. Get it all cooking together. Let's go. That is a chunky guy. Let's get him in. Ooh, got the pop. That out. Okay, so once you've got your oysters shucked, and if you're not a fast shucker and you don't want your ice to melt, just keep them on some tin foil or keep them upright and you can get your ice later. Nice and gold. So we're gonna get that out and rest now. Okay, so honestly, this is what Saturdays are about. You know, just with my wife, having a good time, cooking something we've never done before at home, and enjoying each other's company. Now, I recommend getting out and trying some new dishes like this. Go to your fishmonger, go and get a whole baked Branzino. Do something that you've never done before. Waste of time. Bluepoint. Not a bad way to spend a Saturday at home with the wife. Cheers.